Hey there, Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 46 of our Be a Better You annual challenge. We're doing one thing every day to be a better version of ourselves, a better you, a better person as we go about the year. This month, we're focusing on the area of confidence. Today's topic is embracing failures, right? And creating a success file. And these are two things that I learned to do a long time ago. Why? Because I failed a lot. Most human beings I know, we actually have more failures than we do successes in life. Think of how many times you tried to walk as a baby. Think of how many times you tried to crawl. Think of how many times you learned to talk and speak and say things. How many times you tried before the actual word came out of your mouth. I live with a little toddler. My youngest granddaughter just turned 2, and it's just so fun watching them grow and develop, and how much they change and grow and develop so quickly in the first 3 to 5, or the first year of their life, then the first 5 years of their life. It's just amazing, the transformation. And we all have the ability to undergo that transformation if we so choose. And the way we do that is by messing stuff up and then having to pull ourselves out of it, figure it out, and learn from the situation that didn't go as we had originally desired or planned. Have you ever had something that you wanted to do or achieve and it didn't go exactly as you had planned? Heck, if you go on a road trip, chances are it doesn't go 100% as you've planned. Even if you've mapped it out, even if you've got your GPS, even if you've got your snacks and everything set, anything can happen, right? And that's what makes it fun and exciting, is knowing that we're on a journey to go somewhere and achieve something. And we're going to get there eventually because we're committed to doing it. But there's going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be hills and valleys. There's going to be things along the way that we could not possibly have anticipated. But that's what makes it fun and exciting to learn. I'm going to share 5 ways we can turn failures, or what we normally would term or consider a failure or a misstep or an obstacle or a challenge or a just plain F up, into a lesson, a learning stepping stone that we can use to keep moving us forward to exactly what we want. Everybody's heard that Thomas Edison took 10,000 tries to make a light bulb before he actually succeeded in getting the light bulb that became the predecessor of all of our lighting these days and electricity. But it took him all those tries, but he didn't see those as failures. As a scientist, we look at things as stepping stones. Well, okay, that didn't work. And it's all about proving whether a hypothesis is true or not, right? At least that's how science used to be when I was in science classes in school. And then we're going to also talk about a tool that I love, and I actually adopted this before corporate America, but especially in corporate America. And then I used it to create a big binder of success, of accolades, of all different things that made me feel good that I used in job interviews, my last couple of jobs in corporate America. I haven't used it for a long time, but I'd be willing to bet that it is still in my storage unit in a box somewhere, because it's full of the stuff that I did throughout my corporate career, and some of the committees and some of the teams and things I was a part of, some of the accomplishments that we had as a team to show that I'm a leader and a team player, etc. But it's amazing the power of walking into a job interview with the 3-ring binder that's 3 or 4 inches thick, full of actual real life examples of the results that you've gotten for other people, because that clearly shows to the potential employer that if I can get these results here in this organization that's similar or totally different, I can definitely get similar results and lead similar efforts in your organization as well. So that's one of the powers of a success file. We can use our success file not only to make us feel better when we're struggling or having a hard time, but to actually move us forward in our career and in our life and on our life path toward whatever our goals might be. So what are the ways to, the 5 tips to, or the 5 practical steps to use when you have a challenge that has gone wrong, or when you have a challenge, or when you have a setback, or something that you're considering like, man, this is really screwing me up. I'm failing every day at this. What do I need to do? Well, number 1, analyze what went wrong. What the heck went wrong? What caused, and look for the root cause. I'm a big believer in it's essential to find the root cause of a problem, because otherwise you're just band-aiding it and masking symptoms. I think the medical industry does an incredibly good job at this, but it's not good for the patient necessarily, at masking symptoms or treating symptoms, but not getting to what the root cause of the issue is. Because if you solve the root cause, you can cure the patient. If you band-aid stuff, you'll keep them coming back for more, which is kind of the purpose of the medical industry, right? If it were to make us healthier, we'd all be healthier, not much less healthy than we were even a decade ago. It's got nothing to do with aging. Number 2, we want to adopt a growth mindset. Do you believe you can figure it out? Do you know that this is just one thing in our journey of life, and this too shall pass? We're going to figure it out. We're going to make a better decision. We're going to make a run it again, the goal or whatever the challenge is, and we're going to be better off on the other side of it because we're going to have learned one thing that didn't work or one thing that didn't work for us. There are so many strategies and so many things that we can do that we learn from other people. They work for the other person. Hey, they work for my best friend. They're going to work for me. And then we realize we're not the same two people. And what worked for George isn't going to work for me. Number 3, we want to seek constructive feedback. Ask mentors, coaches, friends, people to say, okay, run it by them and say, this is why I feel like a failure. And let them give you feedback as to what you could maybe try differently. So kind of like the phone a friend thing. Number 4, adapt your strategy and adjust your strategy. Okay, you just found something that didn't work for you. Now what? What's next? Get moving. Number 5, stay committed to solving the problem. Stay committed to the goal. Stay committed to whatever it is that you're trying to create. As long as we are committed to the thing that we say that we want, we'll keep taking steps to move us toward it. So what the heck's a success file? Why do I need one? Why do I care? A success file is just a collection of things that make you feel good. Maybe in the beginning when you first started out doing that, you don't have a lot of success things to put in your success file, but I guarantee if you're alive and you've been living and you've got things to put in your success file. But things like thank you letters from customers or colleagues or coworkers. I usually put my performance reviews. I used to put my performance reviews from corporate America in there. I would have memorandums or notes or projects or reports or speeches I had given, feedback for them and writing, things like that. Demonstration of teams that I led, things like that. Anything that made me feel good. Cards, thank you cards, or just regular cards from people that they sent me. Or, a note. It's like that gold star on your homework. A note from a colleague for a report that you turned in, and not only their feedback and how they felt about it, etc. But anything that made me feel good went in my success file. Why? Because some of the jobs I've had in my life have been super duper hard and not in the most positive cultures and situations. There's one organization I worked for where I was the only woman besides the secretary of our same name. We both had the same first name, which I found fascinating. And I was the only woman of 800 people that worked in that facility. And I ran one of the most challenging departments in that particular organization. And so it wasn't the best culture always, right? And then I had a baby. And then heaven forbid, I got pregnant to have another baby. And it didn't go over very well. Let's just say that didn't end particularly well for me. But I learned so many things. And one of them was that having a success file, even in a negative culture and a negative environment, was enough to see me through on the really hard days. Because there were really hard days in that organization. So how do we go about doing this? I say when you're first starting out, journal. I always had a journal that was a part of my success file. It was in the front of my success file because sometimes I wanted to write about what was going on or what happened, so I could reflect on it later and get my lessons learned out of it if it didn't go the way I wanted it to. And you can do it nowadays. You can do it digitally. You can do apps on your phone. I'm still pretty old school. I want to see a hard written copy of things, but whatever works for you. I want to see a printed out version. If it's digital, I want to print it out and put it in my file. I want to physically be able to pull it out and just go into that file whenever I need to pick me up to say, okay, I'm not an utter and complete failure. This just happened, but it's not the end of the world. We want to be specific. That's why I would journal sometimes, because I want to be more specific than, if somebody sent me a card, this is why they sent me this card. This is how it made me feel. This is, whatever the situation is. I want to be specific about those things. So I have little things when I go back and see it later, like maybe 10 years later, I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh, what was that? I don't remember. I don't have to remember because I made notes on it, or I made notes in my journal. Reflect regularly on your success journal. We want to celebrate our wins. We just don't want to beat ourselves up and learn lessons from our failures. Although I think the truth is most of us never take the time to reevaluate and say, well, what went right about this situation? We just beat ourselves up for what went wrong, move on, and then down the road, we make the same mistake again because we didn't learn from it. Or we have a win, we celebrate a teeny bit, and then we just move on to the next thing. But we want to capture those things because it's important to start to see our own patterns of behavior. We want to include gratitude in our notes. Hey, I'm so thankful for this because, and that's part of, well, this is how it made me feel. And then fifth, we want to use different formats. Use what works for you. Me, a journal and a hard file work for me. I also do notes on digital things, but I'm not very organized when it comes to digital things like that. So I don't keep very good track of them. But there's all kinds of apps and things nowadays that can help you do that. So our challenge today, when something goes wrong today, figure out what the lesson is that you needed to learn or what you needed to see from that so you don't make that same exact mistake again. Any questions? Hit me up. Otherwise, have an awesome day, and I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.